as well as Niana and Galactic Priestess of Spiral Light. So, let's jump into this topic today. So, I've been kind of sitting with this for the last few days because this is once again something that's come up with a friend of mine who's going through a difficult time right now. And it all started on Christmas Day. And it just kept on going into the new year. So it's not turning out very well, which is leading me to this topic about past heartache. We're going to talk about heartache. We're going to talk about the energetic signs of heartache. Um, and if you don't resolve that heartache, that past pain, what it will do to your physical body. And there is a lot of us walking around with that heartache. Um, so we're going to talk about some terms under my emotional book. And this today's kin is the white cosmic wind. And it says here, and I think this is kind of fitting how it kind of fits into the topic of today. And it says, I endure in order to communicate transcending breath. I seal the input of spirit with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of death. The color is white, the planet is Uranus, the chakra is heart, and the earth family is core. And in the meaning it says, the more the machine world proliferates, the more we lose coherent contact with the deepest symbolic side of our brain. Okay, so you know how, hey, lovely, how they always say the heart is the soul brain, the second brain of the body. It's actually the first brain, because when a baby's developing or a fetus is developing, the first thing that starts to develop is the heart. And you need the heart to develop because that's the one that's going to get the network moving for the body. Okay? It's going to, hold on one second. I got to lighten this up. Okay. It's going to get the blood moving for the heart. It's going to activate the brain. It's going to get the lungs. So the heart has to form first. Okay? Which is why this is really, really important. Because, like I said, I've been sitting with this for the last few days. And I said, okay, let me know when you want me to talk about this and bring this forward. So, in that, I had to go, let me close this out. I had to go and get the book and talk about this. Now, this book is all about messages from the body, their psychological meanings. This is written in 1990s, okay? 1991 to be exact. So it would behoove you to get pen and paper, water, and pay close attention to this, because you're going to see this play out this year with people you know. Hopefully I won't be one of them. I feel like I stand pretty good in my heart, but there has been things that really hurt my heart. And this energy we're moving into, they don't call it it's fifth dimension for nothing. Yes, when we look at the number 5, it's about change. But when we talk about the heart, the high heart self, that heart has to be in the truth and authentic of itself in order for you to be on those higher vibrations. If you're not in that place and this heart has been through a lot, things sitting heavy on the heart, you have family that has had heart problems, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about congestive heart failure. We're going to talk about stroke. We're going to talk about AFib. We're going to talk about the heart when you just literally have the heartbreak. We're going to talk about the heart failure. What is the emotional, spiritual aspect of these diagnoses that the doctors will give you? But how did you get that? What happened in the time from when you were in your mother's womb all the way up to the time of this energy? Now that it has you back in a hospital having heart issues. Okay, so let's talk about disappointment, grief, anger, betrayal, you can't trust. Let's talk about abandonment. Let's talk about the anger. Let's talk about those things that you've been walking with. And you just kind of shuck your shoulders and say, okay, life isn't what it always is. You can't get a whole box of chocolate without biting into something that's going to make you say, ugh. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. What is heavy to the heart? What has been causing the heart problem? So when we look at brokenhearted, when we look at people who went into a relationship and they loved so much, this can be the partnership, this can be like a sisterhood, a brotherhood, this can be besties, friends, and then something happens that pulls that relationship apart. That's heavy in the heart. It could be a sudden traumatic loss of that person, like something traumatic happens and they're no longer on the planet. You're no longer able to see them. That's trauma. That's straight up trauma to the heart. It could be where you've been married either a short time or a long period of time, and then suddenly your loved one is no longer there. That's trauma. It can simply be that you were having some health issues and then you find out that your heart is really having some problems, and you go in and they find out it's worse than what it really was. So what was eating at the heart? What were you sitting in? What was the individual or the self sitting in with the heart? What created the valves to become leaky? What created the heart to be in a place where it seized up and it just didn't want to beat anymore? What created the person to just say, I can't go on anymore? You know the song, My Heart Will Beat Forever, I'll go on forever. What made the person just say, I can't do it? Now, here's the thing. Physically, when we're with loved ones that are going through heart things, the loved one is going to give you the painted picture. Everything's okay. I'm going to pull through this. I'm fine. But the soul is going to say, no, this is kind of like the it. You can't take it anymore. It's too heavy on the heart. This is that energy that just kind of pulls that heart energy down. And this is where you get, depending on what the situation that a person's going through, especially like stroke energy, where this person has been so overloaded with trying to keep above float, keep going, stressing the self out, giving of the self all the time, and then they finally reach a part of themselves because there's a secret that they're holding in themselves. There's a secret, and that secret is, I'm tired. I can't keep this anymore. I can't keep going anymore. That's the secret. But in front of everyone else, they paint the picture. Everything's all fine. Everything's good. No, 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 I'm happy-go-lucky. Don't you know people like that? They paint that picture, everything's fine. I'm happy-go-lucky. No, my ankles are swelling up. No, I'm not feeling good and feeling energetic when I get out in the morning. But you know what? Everything is fine. So we're going to start with the energy meaning of a stroke. We're going to start there first. So if you know anyone that starts complaining of stroke energy or so, now I'm not a doctor, I'm not prescribing, blah, 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 but in my nursing career, I know and have experienced a lot of caretake with people with strokes. And so I do know this department. Um, when you, let's look at this energy of this. Let's bring it. Might have went too far. Because I went through and I had to look all of them up. Sudden. Here we go. Okay. So a stroke is described as decreased blood flow to part of the brain, usually due to a burst blood vessel in the brain. Now, the stroke energetically will have this. They have some kind of intense bitterness about love. There we go. Okay? Resulting in narrow constrictions and compressed flow of love energy in their life. This is the result, the subconscious death wish. No one cares attitude. Okay? This is the secret underlining energy, spiritual energy that's going on with a stroke. They are rejecting life and they would rather die than change. They tend to become engaged and compulsive and codependent, compassionate, and taking on the problems of the world in severe, kind of like that servitor, unsung hero partnership. So you become where you do everything for everybody. You're constantly going. Okay? Always doing. But nobody returns it back to you. That's that secret little underlining energy right there. If you're constantly the giver, being of service all the time, and there's no balance of something being returned back to you, that puts things in balance. That's that underlining energy. And then here it says, now they have finally reached a point where they are giving up and trying to put an end to it all. They just give up. Stroke. Power turns off. You just switch that switch. Boom. It is the reluctance of their being the family host. It is the severely dysfunctional, explosive, and self-emerged family. So if you come from a very dysfunctional family, a very narcissistic family, that's always about them, and you don't matter, and they always constantly tearing you down because you don't play the game and you're not in that stuff. This is where that energy starts building up. This is where you see that. Okay, so say like the stroke thing doesn't get you. It comes in a little bit slower. Let's go to congestive heart failure. Let's talk about the energy of that one. Now, this is all about the energy that's coming in right here before it hits the physical body to become a physical problem. So when we are dealing with energies that take on a full, like you get a diagnosis from the doctor, That means it's already at your doorway. That means it's already in the physical body. You had some signals along the way to deal with it. But if it's not a trauma that comes into the heart space, like an immediate loss of someone, that creates that heartbreak, that imbalance in the heart. Now, let's talk about congestive heart failure. Congestive heart failure, anyone that gets that diagnosis, is strictly this: brokenhearted. There is something that happened in the past or somewhere close into where this started coming in, and now you're dealing with the brokenheartedness. Now you have the diagnosis the doctor gives you is congestive heart failure, CHF. Okay? So the brokenhearted energy, it says brokenhearted, they have a little to no sense of personal worth or deservingness of love. Okay? Yet they hope to spring eternal, and they put out the realms of the heart and energy and service and heart of their heart dreams, and someday their prince will come. It's that energy of the unfit, feeling like, okay, that's the first part. Here's the second part of a broken heart. They suffer from a severe case of abandonment, paranoia, and rejection expectations. They've had a major shock around this issue of late. The experience is that there is no hope and that all is lost. The effect of overwhelming their heart and the failure under the crushing load of the stress they are experiencing. Here's the next one. Here's the third description. It is the results of lovelessness, shame-inducing, and explosive dysfunctional family who gave them no support, no nurturing, acceptance, or fulfillment. Instead, they harped on how you asked for it, asshole, to such a degree that the individual now believes it is their heart, so that they are in an effect of a dying of grief. Peace, peace, peace. What book are you reading from? My big ass book. That is Messages from the Body, which you'll pay a pretty penny to try to get, because the two people that put the book together actually got into a fight about the publication of the book. But I remember when I went and got it, I got it and paid $20 for it. It was written in 1991. And it's that it goes through and it breaks down everything, all the stuff, all the things. And one of the things, those who are spiral light practitioners, one of the requirements is to actually you go through a training process of the body, where we go through and we start breaking down the most heightened diagnosis of things that a person can get and why they're having it. And I guarantee you 99.9% of the time, when you have a client that comes in and you start doing the root digging on why they're having CHF or why they're having heart problems or how come they just had a stroke, you find out that they were done. They got to a point where they're tired. They got to a point to where they couldn't express it anymore. They got to a point to they got tired of waiting to see when it was going to be their fucking turn. They got tired of, I carried this pain of my loss, and I just kept waiting to see if I ever was going to fall in love with again. Or maybe I'm too afraid to fall in love. I'm too afraid to experience that again because I went through a betrayal or I went through a pain, a hurt, and they never got that healed. Now I'm going to take you one step further. Some of you are walking with your grandmothers and your mothers, your sisters, your aunts, lineage, generational, bloodline, heartbreak. That one right there is the one that's secretively in the background that makes you wonder why you have problems in a relationship. That makes you wonder why, okay, every time when I get in a relationship, something happens weird. Makes you feel like you're a part of the practical magic sister line. Like, okay, that bug is going to come around singing, and I got to go tear up the wooden floor to go get that stink bug so it can't ruin my love. Some of us are carrying that, and you don't even realize it. Then there are some who come into the world and they already have a mark on the heart from a past life issue that is unresolved. So, say like a baby is born and they already have a heart issue. They never got a chance to heal whatever it was and pass in that heart. So here they come taking on a physical body and they still never resolve what the heart issue was from the past life. But in this lifetime, they're either going to resolve it or get a new heart, or they're just coming in long enough to just feel that love and compassion just enough before they have to say goodbye. Okay, this is where you get the babies that come in, they're born, and then some kind of abnormal heart abnormality is taking place. There's nothing the doctors can do about it, and then the baby lives only for so long, and then they pass on. So that child only came in for that short period of time to experience that love so that they could move past that. Okay, generational heartbreak, I felt. Yes, yes, generational. Now let's take it one step further. And this is true for a lot of us. If you look at your mother, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm getting ready to say this. If you look at your mother's generational line, how many of the females on that side of the family didn't have long relationships, or their spouse passed away before them? Okay? Or there was always something. Then we can look at it, if it's not even associated with partnership, we can look at it as individual. The ones that always kept going, the ones that were so strong, and they are the ones that have to hold the family together. That one. And then she had a stroke, or that person had a heart attack. That's why they ask you when you go in and they say, what's your family history? And then you just give them the info and you say, well, my mom's side, there's history of strokes and heart attacks and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're already being seen for high blood pressure because you're working a job that you hate. But you have to work that job because it's put into place, because you got to make the money to live here on this planet. So it stresses you out. So now you're in there being seen for high blood pressure because you're stressed about doing something that is not for your highest good. But you believe you have to do it in order to live, because this is the system. This is the old indoctrination that we're breaking free from, that puts you in that situation. Not to make it really authentic and say you've been working for a company that doesn't even value you enough to really pay you what you're worth, give you excellent benefits, because you're forking out a lot of energy for that company. So let's look at that heart energy. That has stroke with it, high blood pressure with it. High blood pressure is simply this: you're reaching a point where you can't take it no more, and that's it. Your blood pressure's up. But when you're not at the job and you're not there and you're off for a weekend or a vacation, your blood pressure's normal. You're doing just fine. You don't have any weirdness going on. You don't have the little heart palpitational things going on in your heart. You don't have all that weirdness going on. You're doing just fine. You're feeling good. Until you got to go back. And then you start having it again. And then this is where we play the game. When we're dealing with the congestive heart failure, the atrial fib, the stroke, the broken heartness, the heart failure. This is where we get into trouble, because when you go back into the situation of the energy that is pulling on the heart, and you keep trying to just get by, you run out of getting by tickets. You don't have any more tickets to stamp. Now it is purely you're dealing with it. And then this is where we start doing the things where we wake up, you're not feeling so hot. You feel like your heart and everything is up in your throat. You're having little sensational things happening, but you ignore it. You're trying to talk yourself into it. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it doesn't. Then sometimes you just pick up the phone and say you don't feel so well, call it off. And you don't go in, and then symptoms fade out. They're still there, but they're not intense, because you're not going into an energy that's going to activate it. Okay? So when we let's look at the heart failure. When the heart just finally gives out, says, I can't do it anymore. And it just says, that's it. There's a lot of people who are walking with that. Like, here's one, heartbeat slowed. When the heartbeat slows down, alone on their own, they have been taking care of business with, in fact, no help from their friends since infancy. Or here's the next part of it. They were expected to meet their own needs in child. Please. I rather you do it yourself. Parenting pattern. Go do it yourself. The results is the chronic low-key depression that is reflected in their slowed down heart rate. Okay. Heart failure. The heartburn. Let me read heartburn. Those of us that get heartburn. Happiness, horror. They have intense and passive fear that is tipped off by their experiencing some joy or happiness. They have to have this sense of attack under deserving of joy. So not feeling like you deserve to have joy or happiness. There is an intense abandonment and betrayal energy that brings in the restrictive, disapproving, the fear-inducing childhood. Or purple passion. They are finding themselves intensely involved and activated over something of love or anger that is very pronounced, and it is scarring the hell out of them. They are operating with a pronounced injection of not to feel, denied, dysfunctional family. Or the final one, burning to be free. Yes, please. This is an up in which they are no longer a part of. It comes from growing up in a family in which they were not accepted for being themselves, and they were constantly threatened to grow away by becoming themselves in a distinct manifesting manner. So not to be yourself, to grow out of that. That's my mom, low heart rate. Yeah, low heart rate. The chronic depression. Okay, heart failure. Here we go. Died with their boots on. They have been in the saddle since early infancy. When they found out that there was no one there to meet their needs or those of the situation. That's heart failure. Here's the next part. So they rose to the challenge and became the buckle stops. The buck stops here. Persons everywhere they went. Now the buck has stopped them. Okay. Or shit happens. Sometimes things just show up. It's the results of random generator, which sets off the events that neither the resultant of the divine intent nor of the playouts of his own will. The purpose is to continuously challenge us with the growth generating events. It should be noted in this regard that Shanola happens too. Heart murmur. Here's a heart murmur. Broken-hearted, they receive an at best ambulant acceptance in the womb, and they are resigned to life with little or no love, or to the one in which there is much oblivience for. They just don't expect much in the way of love in their life. So they constantly have like this murmur that's there. And it's just never clear. It doesn't beat clear, strong, with force. Heart stoppage, sudden death. They have been violated to the ultimate taboo of really beginning to have success in work and love, and the result of that, they have been given a clear message that it is absolutely not allowed. When a heart just suddenly stops and squeezes out everything, this person is so scared to just allow themselves to receive the love, to be successful, to be seen. They can't, it's like too much. They can't handle it. So that puts a squeeze on the joy, sucks out the joy of that, and now it brings in the heart just stops. Okay, so these are some of those underlining energies that sets us up for that heart stuff. And a lot of times we're already getting the signal that something is coming in physically because it's right here. It's right here in spirit. This is why they always say if your spirit's not happy, you're not happy in spirit, it's going to show up in your physical. It's going to display itself. Okay. So, one of the things I really want each person to do, and which I did last night in my medicine bath, and this was really powerful. So I'm in the bath, and I kept sitting with what a friend of mine is going through with her mother being in the hospital and what happened. And there's a very good chance she's just not going to come out of this. It's not looking good. So I'm in the bathtub and I start asking questions. Okay, you want me to do this teaching about the heart and how we need to go in and clear this, because as we accelerate into faster and higher, into anchoring in that higher timeline, into those higher dimensions, truth be told, some of us aren't going to make it. We're not going to make it. And the reason is because we weren't being authentic with ourselves to clean that shit up. We weren't being real. You just got to say it the way it is. We weren't being real. We pussyfoot around with all the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I have to, bada, bada. And then got down to it, and we didn't value ourselves. Everybody else counts except you. You. What is so bad about bringing yourself forward? I'll tell you what it is. Because we have been indoctrinated to believe that if we care too much about ourselves, it's selfish. In order to be of service, you have to sacrifice yourself to be of service. No bullshit, no. What's the first thing they teach you when you get on the plane and they go through the plane safety with the buckle seat, the seat belt? They say when the oxygen drops, put it on yourself first before you help your family or someone next to you. That way you stay conscious and you're able to help because you took care of you. This is where a lot of us as healers, we don't vet ourselves out. This is the truth of it. This is why a lot of the healers that are very powerful are sitting back and they're trying to heal and take care of themselves because they have been giving 90, 180, 360 of energy to everything that they can to help. But they didn't take care of themselves. Because somewhere out here, this was more important than here. And somewhere in here, to be really truthful and to really mean what you say was dangerous. Because if you really say and be authentic, you might piss some people off. But these are the same people that wouldn't give you time of day when you need it. Think about it. Wouldn't give you time of day. Oh, I need to have some time off. I'm feeling like, okay. Oh, my doctor took me off for a couple of weeks because I'm having some health issues. When you coming back? How long you going to be out? I don't know if we can let you be out that long. If some of these employers would listen, there wouldn't be certain people that work for companies taking themselves out because somebody in HR didn't listen or somebody didn't listen to that person. So here we sit as we are accelerating into this timeline in that higher dimension. The body's getting activated. We got sun codes coming in. We got star codes coming in. We got light codes coming in. We got so many codes coming in. The body is sitting here saying, okay, just code my ass. I'll figure it out later. I'm just coming along for the ride. Just do what you got to do. Some of us are so inundated with what's happening and not having the time to process immediate things that are happening. That's coming undone. this year is going to be the year that everyone you see or in your circle, what you're going to see them gone. Because this is the ticket to getting into that next round. If you're not sitting right here in the heart, and some things have been heavy on the heart, never been resolved, hasn't been cleared out, you're not going to get there. You're going to go on the other side. It's going to play itself out. So as I'm in the medicine bath, and I'm asking these questions, and I see all this stuff, and I'm asking all about this, of everything I just discussed here. And I simply hear this. Two of the dragons come in, and I go, oh, all right, this ought to be interesting. We're here. And I'm like, well, okay. And then I see the grandmas come in and says, let's talk about this. I said, okay. I said, let's talk about my bloodline. Let's talk about my grandmothers who'd like to do two things. They like to either hold their breath and cross or either have a stroke and cross. Or the heart is just not beating like it should. Always something with the heart. And when I look at everything, my great-great-grandmothers, all of them, have suffered that lost love of the heart. They died alone. Their partner was gone or died before them. Or they kept holding the family together, taking care of the kids that couldn't get their act together, staying on the drugs, staying on the alcohol, couldn't keep their asses out of the system of the jail, messing around with the wrong people, almost getting themselves killed. And here's the mom, here's the one going there, trying to hold it all together. And that child, it just kept ripping that heart apart. Finally, the mother just couldn't take it no more. Let's look at this on the movie spectrum. Imitation of Life. That mom kept chasing after her daughter. Her daughter was trying to be another color. Kept trying to just make sure she couldn't be okay. Her heart just gave out. She couldn't do it no more. Gave out. And she even told her, I'm too tired. I can't do it anymore. You're going to have to do this on your own. You're going to have to figure yourself out on your own. So now back to the medicine bath. I get to go down the journey and look at the grandmother's line, look at my mom's line, look at my line of where I've been since I've been here on this planet. This week it'll be 59 years. I better get this done because when I hit 60, if I'm God-given to be here that long, I want to make sure this is cleared out. So last night, it required me to simply say this in the water. Notice how it was in the water. I stated my name. Hereby do not carry the energy of the generational stroke, congestive heart failure, slow heartbeat, heartache, heartbreak, heart failure, sudden heart stop, and even heartburn. I no longer carry this, nor do I consent to the timeline, the generational family timeline of when it all began and how we kept passing it from one generation to the next as a defect in the heart. I hereby, through the eyes of Creator, ask to have this cleared. Let it be cleared through the timeline. Let it be cleared now through me, through them, through all of us. Let it all be done. Let it be cleared. And as I spoke those words and laid back and put the towel over my eyes and let the dragons do their codes, let the dragons do their violet flames, the violet flame came in and I literally watched it like it was a freaking movie as it just went down and the flames just got more and more intense. And I see the faces of my loved ones, see the faces of all my mothers, and the children's, and see myself all the way down to where you get to the little innocent one. The innocent you. That child. Down to that. And then poof. And in that moment is when I saw the little one, I said, you don't have to carry this. You don't have to take this on. You can set it all free. You don't have to take it on. And to watch her take and scoop into her heart and go up. And when she released it, it was like it went from flowers, roses, and turned into butterflies and flew out. And she was just looking up, smiling. And then she looks back at me and she says, you don't have to carry it either. I go, yeah, we're in this together. So it's going back to that soul-centered part of the child. Not just of yourself, but what was a child like with your mom? The child of your grandma, your grandmas, your aunts. That child. And as soon as I saw that, then all of a sudden, I literally, kid you not, felt my heart go. I was like, whoa. And then I felt this slight pain. And then I felt this lift. And I was like, and then the heart. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I take the towel off my eyes. I see my dragons. I go, what the heck was that? Oh, priestess, that was the release. And then the grandmothers are like, yes, declaring that much is needed right now. So it's about going into that space and saying you're not consenting and you're choosing not to hold it. Because in you saying you're choosing, you're imprinting a new timeline of energy, of belief that now imprints itself on you, as well as clearing for all that is connected to you. Now, mothers, here's another powerful part. As well as fathers can do this too. If you know a fact that your child, no matter how old they are, has been carrying something, and you know for a fact that they saw something that happened to you, and they learned it from you, You need to set your child free from that. You need to be the one to tell your child, it's not yours to carry. I need you to stop carrying that. Because it's through your divine voice that is the signature, thank you, that is the signature imprinted already in your child that will cause them to let it go. It will give them permission to let it go. And not only is that a healing for you, but it is also a healing simultaneously for both of you. There is so much power in that mother, your mother of who you are. When your children come out of your womb, you're still signatured to them. You can make a change. Even if you were on the other side, you still can make a change with them. Your voice of what they heard from the time they were incarnated in your womb is the signature that can set them free. Go on. Okay. You can set that child free. I remember the day of last year, earlier, I think it was around before spring started, my mother and I were having a really deep emotional talk that was very healing. And I remember when she said, that was never yours to pick up. That was never your responsibility. And I'm sorry that I made you feel like that. When a mother takes her signature, her divine energy of her hooka, and says that to her child, you just gave your child the key to heal something. You have that power to literally create that. A lot of the heartache, the pain, the suffering that all of us have ever felt in our lives is simply because someone just needed to say, I'm sorry, I apologize. It still backs up to that. And it still backs up to the words of forgiving an energy. Because if you don't forgive it, it eats at the heart. It becomes the silent, deadening part of the tissues of the heart that just sits there and eats it away. This is why it's so important when mothers are pregnant that they are really in their true sacred space of carrying that life. Because you don't want to imprint something onto that child that isn't theirs to carry. This is why it's so important. And this now, because we're at the precipice of where we are right now, it's so important for us to get this cleared out. Because in order to get to those levels, this right here, you got to be sitting right with it. This heart that's beating from the time you're created doesn't stop till it's time for you to cross over. It's going in your sleep. It's going when you get up. It's going, it's going, it's going. You don't have to tell your heart to beat. It knows what to do. That's the intelligence of it. That's why it's really the number one brain. What do you need to tell this? Because when we look at the heart and we really go into that aspect of it, it ties into everything else, especially for women. Because the heart's here, all our breasts are here. You constantly giving all the time. Oh, why is this out of balance? What do we got going on up here? If we don't clean this up and don't take this time while we're sitting in this time of winter and reflecting on that, this is what you want to get rid of. This is where we want our heart to really have that intentional heartbeat of connection, of truth, and being authentic. Not faking it. Not putting on a fucking smiling face just to get along with everybody else, and deep down inside you're saying, can't do this anymore. So I brought up the movie Imitation of Life, how that mother just wore herself out trying to chase that daughter. Let's look at the Grinch. Now bear with me. There's good medicine here. So we look at the Grinch. And the Grinch whole process, and it's really a very ingenious story if you really pay attention to it. It's all about his heart just could not feel love. It was scared to feel love because what? He was constantly teased. He was picked on. He was everybody in the whole town did not like him because he was scary. He lived by himself on top of a mountain, out of harm's way. But what happens when he meets Cindy Lou? Cindy Lou didn't see him as the scary one until, she finally meets him and said, yeah, the Grinch, he tells her and she's like, ah! But she falls into this whole thing of, I want to know why everybody was hating the Grinch. What did he ever do wrong? Why did nobody really care about him? Why could the Grinch not feel loved? She didn't hold any judgment. She even was brave enough to go up to his peak and go see him and say, hey, I put your name in a contest. I want you to get this award. You got to show up and get this award. He's looking at her like, who the hell do you think you are? I'm not going down there. Going down there and being around those people, pay attention here, because all of us have been the Grinch somewhere, experienced that. I don't want to go down there and with all those people that don't like me, and I went through all this pain with them growing up, and no, humiliated. And she says, but you're going to get an award. And she's still like, hi, how are you? She's authentic. She's herself. She's not following what everybody else is saying about it. She vetted out herself. She's like, I'm going up there. Then he comes down, he does his things, and then the story goes on. And then finally, when Cindy Lou comes up again, and she's in danger of falling over the side with the sled, and he's like laying there, and he gets the heart activation of receiving love and care from Cindy Lou. Simply because she cared enough to come up there. And in his heart, started expanding. Some of us, our heart stayed frozen somewhere in time with some pain. It stayed frozen. Never got over it. Stayed in that timeline. So his heart expands. And what happened? It started beating with intention. He started feeling. All because Cindy Lou was this innocent, authentic being of light that showed up and showed him what unconditional love looked like. So that he could get rid of his fear, feeling abandoned, feeling like nobody gave a frog's butt about him. He got to feel all that at once with her. And then he cared enough to make sure she was going to be safe. And then the story goes on. He had to allow himself to feel loved. Because he has rejected it for so long, that's all he was used to. So how many of you are sitting on that rejection, that pain, that grief, that loss? We all have had it. And believe me, this year, we're going to see more of it. But it's how we actually do the medicine within ourselves that allows us to process so that we keep moving forward and not become frozen. And where it eats at us silently in the background. The heart is heavy because somewhere along, someone didn't think that they were lovable. They didn't think they were wanted. They didn't think anybody gave a care until they have a Cindy Lou moment. It's in the Cindy Lou moment that can turn things around like that in the heart before it's too late. So the teaching today is about where are you sitting in your heart space? Because you don't need to wait till you end up at the doctor's getting a diagnosis of something that's been telling you what you need to be healing. The nightmares, the old depression energy that comes on seasonal or around certain times of the year. The replay of things that have happened to you. That's why they call that song called The Windmills of Your Mind. How it keeps turning. Think about it. Where are you sitting right now? And your heart is it's heavy with sadness, with grief. Or maybe you don't even know where it's coming from. You know you just feel it. And you've been like that all your life and just have no clue why you feel that way. Well, I'll tell you why you feel that way. You got it when you were in the womb. So what was your mother going through? Who was around her? What kind of support did she have? Did she have any support? Or did she feel alone, rejected? This is where we are. And this is very important to just clear that out. No matter how old you are, no matter where you are in your life and you've been experiencing this, that dread energy, that heaviness, that pain. When a relationship ends or someone you know passes away and they were a big part of your life, there's that loneliness. And I can't tell you in my work, with my friends and people I know and clients, the one signature thing I will hear the soul say that's showing me something coming in. And I hear these words. When so-and-so left, a part of me died. I never got over it. When I hear those words, I gotta look and see how deep is this root. Because you just said, your soul just told me, part of you is not there anymore. So what part is left in that physical body that's keeping it going? Because part of you just left. And can we still get that part of you back to make you whole? Let that part of you that just left, let that part of you be healed when it returns. Some of you got pieces of yourselves that went off with someone, especially those who have passed away. Especially when it's a mother and a father, or it's a husband and a wife, or a child. Little snippet part leaves. Is it safe to say that you can call that part of yourself back from the other side? This is why one of my biggest pet peeves when someone was crossing over, getting ready to go to the other side, I would tell the family members, don't be on this right side of the body. Because when the person gets ready to exit, they're going to go this way, or they're going to go up this way. And I always say, let the loved one process. Right when they get ready to go, just hold, but just let go of their hands. Let them release. Then go back in. Because what happens when the soul is leaving, there's this energy that takes place. And then part of your energy that's in contact with the person that's leaving takes part of you. Oh, there goes part of you right there. Bye-bye. This is where you get feeling sad and heavier the grief. Can't seem to feel like yourself anymore. Really absent-minded, spacey in the head all the time. Yeah. That's the part of you that needs to come back, because you're still living over here. That other part of you that went over there, it has to be returned. Because you're still living over here. That spirit world. This is why this has to be taken care of. So I'm inviting you today to really sit within the self and to really look at where is your heart. What's heavy on your heart? Because it's time to get authentic. If you're not practicing it yet, you're still in acting school trying to impress everybody. No, it's not going to work anymore. Just know this. There's some people that are going to love you for you, and there's some that are not going to like you. I'm at a point, I got 59 years into the game. I really don't care. You love me, you love me. You don't, you don't. That's fine. I'm not here to be liked by everybody. Took me a long time to understand that. That is okay. It's okay to say yes or no, and what you will and will not carry anymore. It's okay to give yourself permission to say, I'm going to take care of myself today. It's okay to, if you need to have a health day, to call the job and say, hey, I got to have a break. It's okay. You're not a machine. You are a human being in the moment. It's okay to give yourself permission to do that. And when you give yourself permission to do that, that's when all of this starts to change. That's when the heart, thank you, gets liberated. All I'm hearing right now is, children, I need you to liberate your hearts. I need you to liberate your hearts and live from a place of deserving and love and receiving it, being open to receiving it. That doesn't mean that you allow yourself to just sit and goo in relationships that are not good to you. That's not what you're doing. You're literally, when you're authentic, it means you only allow yourself to be around things that support you and love you, not hurt you and tear you down. And this is why that heart takes so much. Heavy on the heart. Those of you that have those children that just don't value themselves, and you keep talking till you're blue in the face to them, and they're still not getting it, it's okay to let them learn. It's their journey. It's okay for you not to feel like no matter what you do, they're not listening. Your part is if anything ever happened, is for you to give that child the key and say that was not yours to carry. And once you give them that, watch them soar. Watch them set themselves free. The greatest gift you could ever give a kid is to free them from that timeline of something that they witnessed and they took it on. And they might even took it on in the womb. Give them that freedom. Set them free. And you know what it is. You know what it is. And those of you who do have the heaviness in the heart, and you never got that apology, or you never felt that love come through, it's okay. Let it go. Allow your heart to expand so you can receive that love in a higher, more divine way. Today I gave a lesson to the young'un, and I said some people don't know how to love because they were never given that gift. So how can you expect them to show up and love you if they themselves don't know what it feels like? Nobody gave it to them. That's how that works. It's all about the healing. It's all about the truth of things. That's how this is. So, that's the teaching today. And that was a humdinger, I call it. Because I literally, when I did that medicine work and I did that in the bathtub, I felt that. And remember, everything is in cycles and in layers. And as we clear on certain layers of ourselves, that just brightens up our energy life force that much more. That light body. It makes it that much lighter. But you got to be willing to go look at it, feel into it, and just clear it. Simply by saying, I don't consent to it. And I'm choosing not to carry this anymore. I'm choosing to let it go. Give yourself permission to do that. And then allow the energy to release. Allow it to release. That's all it is. Simple love medicine. Thank you for the heart-to-heart conversation. You're welcome. So, let's go ahead and end this out. I'm going to tell you my crazy dream last night. And then we're going to give you this. But it was a funny kind of dream. Because I was in battle last night. So, some kind of way I was in this. I went into this neighborhood, this cul-de-sac. It was a very pricey cul-de-sac. It was like really ritzy and just really high end. And it was like, and I was decked out. I had black gear on. I had my guns. I had all my stuff on my gear on. And I was ready to go. And then this warrior, like, soldier, like, beings came in. They said, we're here. We're here. And I said, do you need me for this part, to clean this part up? Because we were going in after some dark beings. And they said, well, if you want to go over there, we already cleaned that house out. If you'd like to go over there and just sit out and watch, you can do that while we take care of this mess and get rid of this. And I said, oh, okay. So I go into this really big, pretty house, had this huge ass picture window. I fling open the curtains. I pull up a chair and stool. I go in the kitchen, pop some popcorn. Kid you not. And they come, sit in a chair, and I sit there and I'm eating popcorn as they are annihilating and eradicating all the dark beams. You can see them running through and they're like, and I'm all like, now this is how you bring an ending to a movie that just went on too long. This is how it is. I woke up and I said, yeah. Everybody that was a dark being was getting taken out. I was like, so I was laughing my butt off. I said, yeah. Cracking up. And so I saw this part, and this is where everybody needs to be awake, where they were making a big to-do out of the so-called metal receiving, and you saw some beings that were in my dream that were getting annihilated. That little whatever they were wearing didn't help them. And one of them was Hillary. She's a clone. Anyway, that person that was looking like her had on all this red, and she was getting that little medal. You know that medal was really a Freemasonry. They were doing their masonry stuff. You know, that, but it was all inverted, you know. Yeah. I mean, they're going to display it. The least they can do is tell the truth, right? I'm just letting you know. The one thing that just kind of stuck out in my head is, where was Chelsea? Where's Chelsea? Her mother was getting a big honor, right? Where was Chelsea Clinton? Have you guys heard anything from Chelsea? Chelsea's been real quiet, hasn't she? Because she ain't here no more. Anyway, yeah, some things have happened in old storytelling lands. Just saying. So just be aware of some of the things you're seeing, old playing out stuff to make you think it's happening right now. I just sit back and I laugh at it and I'm like, really? You think we're that stupid now? Come on, give me a break. I'm like, oh God, please. Push the button. Next! Yeah, so I thought that was very interesting. But she was decked out in red. I'm like, yeah, you're wearing that red for a reason, aren't you? Crazy. All right. Message of the day. The star says, the helix, the eye of God, bring in that protection. Don't drop the ball. Keep yourself, keep your sacred space smudged and cleared up, especially right now. And I've been having a lot of visions of jellyfish. Jellyfish. Lots of beautiful jellyfishes. Can't make this stuff up, you guys. Are you ready for this next card? What did I teach today? Can't make this stuff up. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Here we go. The frequency of the heart chakra, the green, the flower of life, supports our capacity to love deeply and unconditionally. Its healing properties harmonizes the mind and the body. So, we got the heart card. I love that. The masters, we have, oh, look at this. Kuan Yin, enlightened action, choose compassion, move forward with grace. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Choose compassion. Look, the hand, the lotus at the heart. Love it. The star code for today is Mercury. It is messages, being able to see the messages. Mercury. Receive the messages. And what activates this whole thing is the Gaia Gateway activation, learning experiences, wisdom transmission, and earth intelligence. There you go. All right, lovelies. I hope this teachings today, this message that was shared with you, really has you sit back and think about it. Okay. Kind of think about it. I hope I said something to really lift you up, make you think, give you some action, and to step into it. We're only on the 5th day in 2025. We're still in the winter energy. We're in that place to sit with it. Okay? So, you matter. You are loved. You are worthy. You are heard. Trust me on that. You really are. You're heard. You're witnessed by all of your bloodline. They witness you. They see you. You are seen. Let that be enough to know, to feel into, and to be present with that you're here. You're not anything less than that. You never were, never will be. And it's really important for you to understand just how significant you are to the bigger picture. You have a piece of the puzzle. What piece are you going to discover and bring to the table?